There's something quietly defiant about people who don't celebrate their birthdays, not because they forgot, not because no one remembered, but because they've chosen not to. No party, no cake, no social media post, no expectation that the day marks anything significant at all. And when they mention this, casually, almost apologetically, people react with confusion. You don't celebrate your birthday, not even with family. But everyone celebrates birthdays. Don't you feel like you're missing out? As if their disinterest in their own birth anniversary requires justification. As if they're denying themselves something fundamental to human joy. But here's what's fascinating. They're not sad about it. They're not deprived. They're not making a statement. They simply don't attach meaning to the arbitrary rotation of the Earth around the Sun since the day they were born. And the psychology behind this, the ability to opt out of one of culture's most universal celebrations, reveals something profound about meaning-making, mortality awareness, and what we choose to ritualize in our brief time alive. Today we're exploring 6 deep reasons why some people don't celebrate birthdays, and what their quiet abstinence reveals about how we mark time and significance. Let's start with an observation. Birthday celebrations are nearly universal. Across cultures, across centuries, humans have marked the anniversary of birth with ritual, gathering, and attention. Psychologically, this makes sense. Birthdays provide structure in the formless passage of time. They offer legitimate reasons to gather loved ones. They create moments to pause and reflect on the year that's passed. For most people, birthdays fulfill genuine needs for connection, for recognition, for marking another year survived. But for some people, birthdays register as hollow, performative, even slightly uncomfortable. And it's worth exploring why. Because the things we don't celebrate are as revealing as the things we do. Research in psychology shows that meaning isn't inherent. It's constructed. We assign significance to events, objects, moments based on our values, experiences, and psychological needs. Most people construct meaning around birthdays naturally, almost automatically, but some people's psychology doesn't generate that meaning. The day feels like any other day, neither more nor less significant than the 364 days surrounding it. And when you don't feel the meaning, participating in the celebration feels performative. You're going through motions everyone expects, feeling emotions you don't actually feel, pretending significance you don't actually experience. For these people, not celebrating isn't deprivation. It's honesty. It's declining to participate in a ritual that doesn't resonate with their particular way of experiencing time, self, and significance. And understanding why reveals something important about human diversity in meaning-making. That the milestones one person finds essential can leave another person genuinely unmoved, not due to cynicism or damage, but due to fundamental differences in how different minds construct what matters. Let's explore those differences. Think about your last birthday. Maybe friends organised something. Maybe family called. Maybe your social media filled with well wishes from people you haven't spoken to in years. And maybe you felt grateful, connected, celebrated. Or maybe you felt something else entirely. That strange pressure to feel special on a day that doesn't actually feel special. The obligation to seem excited when you're not. The performance of gratitude for attention you didn't particularly want. You wake up on your birthday morning and everyone expects something from you. Happiness, excitement, appreciation for the fact that you're a year older. As if aging is an accomplishment rather than an inevitability. But you don't feel any of those things. You feel normal. It's Wednesday or Thursday. Or whatever day it happens to fall on this year. You have work, you have obligations. You have a life that doesn't pause just because the calendar marks your birth anniversary. And yet everyone around you is invested in making it special. They want to take you to dinner, buy you cake, give you gifts, post about you online, make you the center of attention for one day out of 365. And you're supposed to want this. You're supposed to be grateful. You're supposed to feel that this day is different, important, worthy of celebration. But you don't. You feel uncomfortable with the attention, awkward with the forced festivity, guilty that you're not feeling what you're supposed to feel. So over the years, you've learned to manage expectations. You downplay it. Let's just have a quiet dinner. Please don't make a big deal. I'm not really a birthday person. Eventually, people stop trying. They stop planning surprises. They send a text instead of calling. They respect your wishes, though they don't quite understand them. And there's relief in that, because pretending to feel celebratory when you don't is exhausting. Performing gratitude for rituals you didn't choose is draining. Being the center of attention for arbitrary reasons feels fundamentally uncomfortable. But there's also this subtle alienation, because birthday celebrations are how many people express love, show care, mark someone as important in their lives. And by declining to celebrate, you're potentially declining their expressions of love, which creates guilt. Am I being selfish? Am I hurting people who just want to celebrate me? Is there something wrong with me for not wanting this? These questions circulate quietly, year after year, as you navigate the gap between what you're supposed to feel and what you actually feel. And eventually you land on acceptance. This is just how you're wired. Not broken, not damaged, not missing some essential component of human joy. Just different. Let's examine what's actually happening psychologically. First, mortality salience and existential anxiety. Terror management theory suggests that humans cope with mortality awareness through cultural worldviews and self-esteem. Birthdays are annual reminders that we're aging, moving steadily toward death. For most people, birthday celebrations provide a buffer against this anxiety. They reframe aging positively. You're celebrating life, connection, accumulating experience and wisdom. But for some people, particularly those high in existential awareness, birthdays trigger the opposite response. Each birthday is a stark reminder, another year gone, fewer years remaining, time passing irrevocably. Research shows that people differ dramatically in how they respond to mortality reminders. Some respond with increased appreciation for life, stronger connections, celebration of time. Others respond with anxiety, discomfort, and a desire to avoid the reminder altogether. For people in the second category, birthdays aren't joyful milestones. They're uncomfortable confrontations with finite time. Not celebrating becomes a way of avoiding this annual existential reckoning. Second, attention regulation and social discomfort. Some people have what psychologists call low need for social recognition. They don't derive satisfaction from being celebrated or admired. In fact, being the center of attention activates discomfort rather than pleasure. This isn't social anxiety, exactly. It's more fundamental, a mismatch between what society assumes should feel good, celebration, attention, recognition, and what actually feels good to their nervous system, quiet, normalcy, not being noticed. Neuroscience shows that people's reward systems respond differently to social attention. For some, social recognition triggers dopamine. It feels genuinely rewarding. For others, it triggers stress hormones. It feels like exposure, vulnerability, performance pressure. When your neurobiology experiences birthday attention as stress rather than reward, avoiding celebrations isn't deprivation. It's self-care. You're declining something that doesn't serve your particular nervous system. Third, meaning construction and the arbitrary nature of milestones. Some people have highly analytical, meaning-seeking minds that struggle to generate significance from arbitrary markers. They think, what did I do to deserve celebration? I didn't accomplish anything. I just existed for another orbit around the sun. Psychologists call this internal locus of meaning, needing accomplishments, choices, or authentic experiences to generate significance, rather than accepting externally imposed milestones. For these individuals, celebrating birthdays feels inauthentic because the significance is imposed rather than earned. They'd rather celebrate genuine achievements, completing a project, overcoming a challenge, creating something meaningful. Or they'd rather not celebrate at all, experiencing life as continuous rather than artificially segmented into annual markers. This isn't pessimism. It's a different framework for what deserves recognition. And when that framework doesn't include the accident of your birthday, participating in birthday celebrations feels like participating in something hollow. These aren't deficiencies. They're psychological orientations that make certain cultural rituals feel misaligned with how meaning actually operates for them. Now consider what birthdays have become in modern culture. Monochrome, Social media has transformed them from private celebrations into public performances. Your timeline fills with birthday posts. People you barely know comment with generic well wishes. You're expected to respond to each one, maintaining the performance of gratitude. The celebration becomes less about genuine connection and more about social obligation, digital visibility, quantified recognition. You can measure your importance by how many people post, how many likes your birthday photo gets, whether people remember without Facebook reminding them. For people who already felt ambivalent about birthdays, this digital amplification makes it worse. Now, it's not just managing one dinner or gathering. It's managing a day-long public event where your value feels measured in engagement metrics. And declining to participate carries social cost. Why didn't you post on your birthday? I didn't know it was your birthday. It wasn't on Facebook. Are you okay? You seemed quiet on your special day. Your absence from the birthday performance becomes notable, requiring explanation. Meanwhile, people who don't celebrate birthdays have found quiet ways to navigate this. They keep their birth date off social media. They politely decline celebrations. They treat the day like any other, going about their lives without announcement or fanfare. And they've discovered something. Most people are too focused on their own lives to care much. The pressure to celebrate is often more anticipated than actual. When you simply don't make a big deal of your birthday, most people accept it and move on. There's no confrontation, no judgment. Just quiet acceptance that different people relate to milestones differently. But there's still this cultural assumption that everyone should want celebration, should feel special, should mark their existence annually with ritual and attention. And people who don't want this are left navigating a world that can't quite understand their indifference to something so seemingly fundamental. So what's the deeper truth about people who don't celebrate birthdays? It's this: they've rejected the cultural script about how to mark time and significance, and they've given themselves permission to do so without guilt. Because here's what nobody tells you: you don't owe anyone your celebration. You don't have to feel special on a day designated by calendar accident. You don't have to perform joy you don't genuinely feel. You don't have to participate in rituals that don't resonate with how you experience meaning. People who don't celebrate birthdays have learned something valuable: that cultural expectations don't create authentic experience, that you can honour others' love without requiring celebration, that you can mark your life in ways that actually feel significant to you, through accomplishments, experiences, connections, rather than through arbitrary annual milestones. This isn't about being against birthdays. It's about being for authenticity, for living according to what actually matters to you, rather than what you're supposed to feel matters. Some people need birthdays for connection, for reflection, for marking time, for feeling valued. And that's beautiful when it's genuine. But some people don't need them, don't want them, don't experience them as meaningful. And that's equally valid. The gift of not celebrating your birthday isn't in what you're avoiding. It's in the clarity about what you're choosing instead. Quiet normalcy over forced festivity, continuous living over artificial segmentation, authentic connection over performative celebration. And maybe that's the deepest wisdom, that the most meaningful life isn't always the most celebrated one. Sometimes it's just the one lived honestly on your own terms, without apology, even when those terms are unconventional. If you've ever felt guilty for not wanting something everyone assumes you should want, this was for you. The psychology of meaning-making, understanding why different people need different rituals, different celebrations, different ways of marking significance, is deeply personal work. And we explore these questions here: how we find meaning, why we ritualize, how to live authentically when your truth differs from cultural expectations. If that resonates with you, subscribe. Because honoring your truth is worth more than performing someone else's. Thanks for listening.